Going live here. Hello, everybody. Hello, live audience here for the podcast. Oh, who's here? Dylan Reynolds, the RV
Going
DJ.
live here. Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Hello,
I'm
live
getting a
audience
feedback.
here for
Hold
the
on.
podcast.
Oh, who's here? Dylan Reynolds.
I knew that was going to happen.
I just had to monitor myself and I forgot to hit that mute button. So, can you hear me well? If the thumbs up, if you can hear me well. I know this microphone. I'm using a rather convoluted system here to be able to record on my other software and to be able to patch that a into StreamYard here. Maybe I should even patch it into StreamYard through the MacBook microphone. In any case, I thank you for being here, Trailer Traveling, and the RV, and Christopher Olsen from Sweden, Rob on the Road. And I'm going to start recording now. It's going to be a relatively short episode of the podcast, probably the last live stream we're going to do here from home base, because originally I was going to depart on Sunday, but I think there's a package coming on Monday, so I might give it an extra day. And for that same reason, there might be a mini tiny lounge this Saturday. We'll see. Let me close the door here, and I'm gonna hit record on the podcast recording system. And what the plan is for the first half of the show, I'm going to talk about a little bit about 2022 plans, and mainly national parks. I want to talk about a little bit about the national parks that I've been to, and the national parks that I want to visit in 2022. Even certain plans for 2023, if things finally go back to like 99% normal, and that's it. And then for the second half of the show, if you guys want to post any questions here on the chat, or if you want to participate live, I'll drop a link in the video description. The only thing, let's just keep it travel related or things like that. And hold on, I have an email here. I just want to make sure that it is not something important. And we may have a special guest from abroad. It's an interview. We'll see. We'll see what transpires today. Here we go. I'm going to hit record here. And episode 222 for Friday, January 7th. Here we go. This is Living the RV Dream episode. And I forgot to hit record. Hold on. I forgot to do something. That's how you I always do. I have to fix this template here. This is Living the RV Dream, episode 222 for Friday, January 7th, 2022. Hello, happy campers. Hello, fellow Pelican heads and happy travelers around the world. Full-timers, part-timers, boondockers, van dwellers, weekend warriors. And if Drew is anywhere around, schoolie builders. Schoolies are all the rage these days. Even Nomadic Fanatic, I think, wants to build a schoolie. So that's great. Coming to you today once again before a live audience. Probably for the last time in a while, unless all of a sudden the internet improves dramatically at Pelicamp or at the Tampa RV show. As you know, I'm going to the Florida RV Super Show next week, or is it the week after? It's the Florida RV Super Show is going to be from the 19th, I believe, is Industry Day, and then from the 20th through the 21st, 3rd of January is going to be the regular days. And I have certain things in mind that I want to see. I just got an email that Winnebago is doing something with accessibility enhanced now with in camper vans. They used to have it in the big class A motorhomes, and Grand Design is partnering with Volta to do a very nice power system. I might do a tour of Lithionics, which is the battery systems that I have in my Micro Mini 2108 Flex. So lots of things planned here for the upcoming Tampa RV Super Show. And if you're gonna be there, I hope to see you all there. I do believe Winnebago is going to have a towable meetup on Friday at 10 a.m. And I'm going to be there. It's supposed to be just for towables, but I'm sure they won't mind a couple of hundred of you showing up and crashing the party, and it's going to be a party. Uh, and if anything, if I figure out a way to do an organized meetup anywhere in Tampa, even at the fairgrounds, I'll let you know. So make sure you subscribe to the main channel, to Traveling Robert, and join the Facebook group if you're on Facebook. Traveling Robert, and there's a Living the RV Dream podcast group on Facebook. But I think eventually I'm just gonna merge everything into Traveling Robert and Friends, which is the larger group, and we have a great community there with lots of people. Um, sometimes it gets out of hand but for the most part it's usually very civil and very pleasant conversation about travel, and this that we love to do so much. By the way, today coming to you before a live audience, and I want to talk a little bit about plans for 2022. I almost said 2021. Plans for 2022, and some of the national parks that I want to visit, and then I'm gonna open it up to the chat, and if and I'm gonna drop a link in the chat if anybody wants uh, to come in and say hello. And as long as we keep it travel related, um, it's all good. So yeah, some of the plans that I have for next year, of course, as you know, I want to do part of the or the whole. I'm actually reading a book on the Kindle about the Lewis and Clark expedition. Fascinating stuff, and sometimes they weren't as perfect as we've been led to believe by history. They almost broke out an all-out war with the Sioux Indians, of the Sioux Native Americans, apparently. So a fascinating read, and I'm just dropping key places on the map. Of course, this is basically just an excuse to go back to the west, but with a purpose. I'm gonna the idea is to go back to the west and visit places I've already been to, but I want to go together with Ely, and places that I haven't been to. For example, I did Mount Rushmore, but I didn't do Crazy Horse, so now we're going to do Crazy Horse as well, and that kind of thing. And I came up with a list here of all the national parks that I've been to in no particular order, but I just went to their website and checked, the ones that. And one of the first ones that we visited was Denali National Park. That's in Alaska. And Denali has a peculiarity that they only let you drive in your own vehicle until a certain mile marker. I believe it's mile marker 11. But if you want to see the good part, you have to get on a bus. It's basically a tour bus, and it's one of those things that I wanted to go back in 2020. Of course, 2020 happened. Whenever I go back to Alaska, I do want to visit Denali National Park. And the main thing to see there, besides all the wildlife, is to see Mount Denali, or it used to be called Mount McKinley, and now it's Mount Denali, after they changed the name back to its Native American name, and it's the tallest peak in the Western Hemisphere. So that's something to see. And when we were there, we managed to see it for just a few minutes because it's usually covered in clouds. So we were very lucky. The next one, Grand Canyon National Park, and I'm gonna put this in my top 5 or my top. No, let's not do it like a list limited to this says the RVDJ Delaware National Recreation Area is becoming a national park finally. I guess next year we're gonna have to visit, or this year. But Grand Canyon is definitely my favorite. It was my first awe moment at a national park, and this was many years ago. We I think may have been like 2005, and we went to Las Vegas, and we took one of those plane tours that takes you to the Grand Canyon, and it's one of the most accessible to most of this national parks out west, if you want to see anything like awe-inspiring, you probably have to drive a lot, or or do a trail, a rather long trail. Here in the Grand National, if I mean, it's crowded, but Grand Canyon, you just show up at the South Rim at the visitor center. You walk 100 yards, and you are right there at Mather Point, which is probably one of the best views of the Grand Canyon. Um, another very accessible national park is Saguaro National Park. If you're into the desert, that classic desert vistas, Saguaro National Park is right there on the outskirts of Tucson, Arizona. Beautiful. And I wasn't only there for a couple of hours, but I truly enjoyed it, as well as Oregon Pipe, which is another national. It's a national I don't know if it's considered a national park or a national monument, but it's another one very similar. And and I really, really enjoyed that. As you know, I have a thing for saguaro cacti. I don't know why. And talking about saguaro cacti, let's talk about another type of cacti. No, Death Valley. Death Valley National Park is something that I didn't know I was going to enjoy so much. And this I would put also in my top national parks. There's so much variety. You have sand dunes, you have desert, you have that racetrack playa, which is the flattest, one of the flattest, if not the flattest place in North America or in the world. Really, you have the lowest point in the western in North America, really, which is the now the name escapes me, but it's there in that valley, and you're so close to the tallest mountain in the lower 48, which is Mount Whitney there, which is so close. So it's kind of one of those things. The lowest and the highest points are with them in the same state, within a couple 100 miles or whatnot. Another one that is pretty interesting, and it's relatively close to Southern California, is Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree, you know, when you enter, you think, what could be so interesting about these trees? But they're very interesting trees. It's not just the U2 album, but you have this huge boulders all around the park and the Joshua Tree, and then in the far east part of the park, the southern part, you have this cholla cactus garden, which cholla are these cactus that they're very, very prickly and very beautiful, but very dangerous. You should take care. Let me go through some of these real quick here, because otherwise it's going to be a 2 hour podcast, and I don't want to bore you guys today. But Redwood National Park, I was there briefly in California, there in the central coast, or northern coast rather. But more than the redwoods, I like that Avenue of the Giants. To me, that was a little more, even more impressive, that Redwood National Park. But again, are these redwood, the tallest trees in the world, I believe. It's something that you have to see it in person, otherwise you don't realize. Pictures cannot convey. Same with Sequoia. Sequoia is one that I haven't been to, but it's another part is in the Sierra Nevada, and that's something that in the second section that I'm going to say, the parks that I want to go coming in the following year. Now, after that, I have Yosemite, and we're in California, of course. These are kind of divided by state, and Yosemite to me, it's also another top, probably number two after the Grand Canyon. It's one of those places that you don't realize until you're there, and you're like, it's one of the most awe-inspiring inspiring places. And if you've seen some of those Ansel Adams pictures of Half Dome and Yosemite Falls, and it's just breathtaking. The next one that I have here is in Colorado, and that's Mesa Verde National Park. Mesa Verde is more of a I want to say historic part. Is mostly about the cliff dwellings of the Pueblo people, the ancestral Pueblo people that lived there. I don't know, probably 500 years before the discovery of America by Columbus. So it's a pre-Columbine society from way back, and nobody really knows exactly why they migrated. It's they say that it was due to climate change at the time, and the droughts and stuff like that. So a fascinating history. I'm gonna go real quick here through the ones in Florida that I've been to, all of them. It's Biscayne National Park, Dry Tortugas, in the Everglades. And Biscayne National Park is mostly underwater, so I've only really visited the above water part. We did go on a boat to Stiltsville, which is a village that used to be offshore here in Miami, and it's technically part of Biscayne National Park. but eventually I do want to take that boat that takes you into Biscayne Bay, which is basically where it is. Dry Tortugas is that island of you can take a 2.5 boat trip from Key West, and it's in the middle of nowhere. It's probably closer to Cuba. No, it's not, but it's west. It's west of Key West, and there's that big fort there, and it's nice. There's good snorkeling and all that, but it's more for the historic fort and for the remoteness of the place. That's to me the main thing. Everglades, it's some parts are very interesting, but once you see the alligators and all the, I mean, going winter time when the alligators out and around, and to me, my favorite part is a loop drive in Big Cypress National Preserve, and because that loop drive, you'll see everything. You see all the great blue herons and cranes and all the nice birds, until you see plenty of gators, and just respect the gator. Don't be afraid of it, but respect it. Don't bother it. That's the main thing. The next one I have here is Grand Teton National Park, which should go together with Yellowstone. And those two parks together, it should be bucket list for everybody. And I put those two together just because they're so close to each other, not because they're similar. But yeah, those are in my top five for sure. The Tetons are beautiful mountains. There's great hiking, and of course um, they're near the town of Jackson Hole, which is a nice town. And then you have Yellowstone, which also has so many different um, um, what would you call that, environments, and no, that's not the world. Ecosystems. You have the part where you have all the geysers, but then you have Lamar Valley, which could be a national park all unto itself, where you'll see the herds of bison and antelopes and all kinds of animals. And then you have the Yellowstone Lake area, which is another beautiful area. It also has like springs and geysers, but it's amazing. And the northern part, which is a little more mountainous, as you get to Mammoth Spring in the north, and yeah, that's another a national park that is kind of out of the way of all of this is Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. Um, the cave itself is not as impressive as another cave that I'm going to talk about, but it is the largest cave that we know of in the United States, or I don't know if they said the world, probably the United States. Um, but and it is in Kentucky. It's apparently most of Kentucky underground is full of these types of caves. But Mammoth Cave, it's to me Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. That would have to be the most impressive cave in the that I've ever seen in the world. I mean, put together all the great caves of the world into one, and this is it. You have all the rock formations, stalagmites, stalactites, and some of it looks like it's a work of art. That huge room, I believe it is the one of the largest underground rooms that has ever been discovered. So that's quite something to see. That's Carlsbad. Now, another one of my favorite, Glacier National Park. Glacier National Park has to be. It's one of those that is just about the like Yosemite, like Zion. It's about the breathtaking beauty of the place. And when I went, it was the year of COVID. It was 2020, so half of the park was closed. A lot of the trails were closed. So that one I want to go back to and really explore like a lot more. I gotta give me a cough button here for the podcast. But we're recording live. I'm not editing anything out. The next one that I want to talk about is the Great Smoky Mountains. It's free. It's a huge park it's straddling the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. I've been there several times, and spoiler alert, there's a good chance I'm gonna be going in winter now. I've never seen the Great Smoky Mountains all snowed in, so that's gonna be something to see for sure. So I'm looking forward to that, to going back to the Great Smokies in winter. And of course, there's the cool on the Tennessee side. There's Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, super developed. Gatlinburg tourist trap, but it's a good one, and they have a lot of things to do besides all the kitschy tourist trappy attractions. There's good restaurants and and good moonshine. And then on the other side, you have Cherokee, which is more of it's in the Native American Cherokee. It's a little more laid back, a little more culture based, and that kind of thing. Let me go real quick here through the rest. I'm gonna the one in North Dakota, Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Um, it's the Badlands. It's the Badlands, and of course, there's the Badlands in South Dakota, and those two parks. I believe the ones in South Dakota are a little more impressive, a little more awe-inspiring. But Badlands National Park and the Theodore Roosevelt also because of the historic fact that it's the only one named after a president. You know, Theodore Roosevelt, the one that actually uh, basically promoted the whole idea of having national parks and for the benefit and enjoyment of the people. Which, by the way, in Yellowstone they have that arch, the Theodore Roosevelt arch. But in this park, Theodore Roosevelt actually used to have a ranch, and the ruins of that ranch you can visit. It's about a mile hike, and you can visit in that. Uh, uh, Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. North Dakota was one of the last states that I visited. I've been to Cuyahoga Valley. That's in Ohio. It's also very nice. We did a couple of hikes, beautiful waterfalls. There's now the five great national parks, and this is another bucket list. And maybe we should put these five together as my number five, and that's the five great national parks in Utah: Arches, Bryce, Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, and Zion. I'm kind of bummed out that now in Arches National Park you're gonna have to make a reservation to to be able to go in. But these are some of the most amazing rock formations that you ever seen. Of course, I've been to Arches. I went to that trip that we did back in 2014. Very briefly visited Bryce Canyon, which is like another place. It's not really a canyon. It's just this area with I don't know what they call a canyon because technically it's not a canyon, but you have all these hoodoo rock formations. At the time that we went, we didn't have a chance to do any hikes, but now that we're going in, probably I don't know exactly where we're going, but I want to go this year. We want to do some of the hikes. Of course, Canyonlands also amazing. Um, Capitol Reef is the one that you can actually drive through. Um, but we've driven through a couple of times, never done any hikes. And then the last one, Zion. Zion, of course, I famously did that Angel's Landing in the snow, and some people think I'm crazy. I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life, and I'm probably not gonna do it again, especially now that you have to make a reservation or there's a lottery. You know, a lot of these hikes that are so crowded, more and more, they're restricting access, and you have to make reservations, and that kind of takes away from the spontaneity and the fun of it. But it is what it is. A lot of people discover these places, and the more and more people want to go, the more crowded it gets. Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. That's kind of a continuation of the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, and it's a beautiful drive, some beautiful hikes, and beautiful campgrounds in that area. I recommend it. Olympic National Park in Washington State. I pretty much only it's a kind of spread out throughout the Olympic Peninsula, but one of the parts that I did that was beautiful is the Hurricane Ridge, which is kind of a short drive from Port Angeles. And from up there, you're up there in elevation. You can even see onto Canada on a clear day. You can see Victoria there on Vancouver Island. So it's a beautiful. It has an area also by the beach, which is kind of an interesting beach because you have this forest, this very thick forest that comes all the way right up to the beach. So um yeah, it's Olympic National Park. Acadia, I was expecting more. Acadia, I'm gonna get some backlash for this one. I didn't think Acadia was all that incredible as as I thought it would be. But then again, it was that trip that was a 2 month trip that turned into 2 week trip when old Kia died, and when I went to Cadillac Mountain to see the first sunrise, it was foggy. It wasn't the greatest trip. I have to give Acadia a second chance for sure. And the last one, which is the newest one, and we visited that one last year. That's the New River Gorge in West Virginia. And when I visited, it was still a New River Gorge National Monument, I believe. And now it's a full blown national park. So um, those are some of the national parks that I visited, and my favorites, of course, is Grand Canyon. The ones in Utah, I have to say Glacier and Yosemite and Yellowstone and Grand Teton. I can, see, I cannot make a top five list because it's so hard to decide when you have so many great national parks, especially out west. Uh, you know, it's incredible. Now for this trip after Lewis and Clark, I want to in up in Oregon. I want to do Mount Rainier and Crater Lake. No, well, hold on. Mount Rainier is in Washington, so we're gonna go up to Washington to Mount Rainier and then down to Crater Lake in Oregon. It's one of the ones that I've been wanting to see for a long time, and and then I'm thinking Great Basin. Well, before Great Basin, we're gonna do Sequoia in California, and this is gonna be kind of like the dead of summer, so it's the best time of the year to do Great Basin, and then Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, and if I can make it to Big Bend, and that's in Texas. Big Bend probably better in winter or like in the shoulder season. I hear it gets really hot in summer, and that's right there by a big bend of the Rio Grande. Um, and Yeah, it's something. It's kind of bucket list for me. All right, that's all I wanted to say about the national parks and about our plans for the um, upcoming year here. And now let me take a look at the chat here and read some of your comments. I mentioned earlier the RV DJ Delaware National Recreation Area is becoming national park finally, and I suppose I was relatively close when I did the East Coast. By the way, it's been kind of a productive November and December here. I've been editing a lot of video, and I'm kind of like 3 videos ahead, and right now I'm editing. Um, I'm editing the. Oh, I just lost my train of thought reading the chat. I'm going to start with it. Vermont. Vermont was an amazing state. So we're going to do Vermont, New Hampshire, and then the East Coast. And that drive down the East Coast was kind of bucket list. We did it a little bit in a little bit of a rush, but um, yeah. Okay, here we have a message from Christopher Olson. Which national park was the biggest surprise to you in a positive way? I think I'm gonna say Joshua Tree. Actually, more than Joshua Tree, Death Valley. Death Valley. I went with kind of with low expectations for Death Valley. I thought, well, yeah, let's see this desert and then the the lowest point in the United States. I don't know, 500 feet below sea level. It's something like crazy like that. I forget. My memory is not what it used to be, but and for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the. And I don't want to Google it right now, but I should, right? Because and I'm lowest place in North America. The Water Basin. Here we go. Bad Water Basin is 282 feet or 86 meter for those of you in the metric world below sea level, and it's a great, it's a beautiful place because you're walking on this. It's looks like sand, but it's really salt, and I tasted it, so I can prove that it is really salt, and it's beautiful. But it's not just that. You have, as I said, the racetrack playa area. You have some of these all these areas that are like out of a different planet. It's like someone painted on the rocks, and then you have sand dunes. It is a huge place, and it's the one that I didn't know I was going to enjoy it and like it so much. So, um, okay, I'm reading here in the chat. Luis Hernández, and this one's in Spanish. I'm going to translate. Muy bonitos paisajes en Estados Unidos, sobre todo Colorado. Beautiful places in United States, especially Colorado. And I do agree, Colorado is one of the most beautiful states, uh, especially that area that I went. I mean, there's so many places in Colorado. I love the mountains, and if the weather is good, but I really enjoyed that area between Durango and Silverton and Uray, which is um, it's called the Switzerland of America, and it's a beautiful, beautiful town. It has this street on a hill, and it is yeah, Colorado, and that's one of the states that I want to visit on my way back from Lewis and Clark. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go west, following the Missouri River and then the Columbia River. But then I'm coming south, and I'm gonna kind of gonna cross the Rockies back on I-70, which if there was ever an interstate highway that was beautiful, it's that's the one interstate to take. And interstate highways, generally speaking, are a very efficient way to go from one end of the country to the other without seeing anything. But in this case, that Glenwood Canyon is it's a rub on the rub. I love visiting ruins. Yes, and I want to visit more ghost town. There's a lot of ghost towns out west. And let me tell you, I'm seeing all these posts of all these people on Facebook and on YouTube that are out there in Arizona, in Quartzsite, and different places. And I'm like, I kind of wish I was there. I kind of committed to going to the Tampa RV show, but a part of me wants to be out there in the desert. That's like my happy place. And Rob on the Road says more footfall means more erosion and undoubtedly more litter and graffiti. Yeah, and I mean we could probably do something about that, but yeah, the erosion definitely happens, and litter and graffiti. I wish that they would enforce. Nowadays, we could kind of try to enforce that people don't do that. But what can you do? In any case, I'm gonna drop a link here on the chat. If any of you has any questions, wants to come online and talk to us on the live stream here, you're more than welcome. But while you do that, I'm gonna play back some of your voicemail. Right here, I have some voicemail here in the inbox, and hopefully the technology doesn't fail us.
Robert, Anthony Giordano here from Rochester, New York. I just wanted to tell you, I just finished seeing the second Upstate New York episode. I loved it. You used all your bells and whistles. You got all the great scenes perfectly with your camera, and I just loved it. So I wanted to call and let you know. And oh, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Ely. Thank you.
Thank
You
you,
and
Anthony.
Ely. Thank
Thank,
you very
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for your message. And yeah, definitely, Anthony. Of course, he took us to that place where they serve the garbage plate in Rochester, and he was a great host. And we enjoyed our time in upstate New York.
Robert, I was just turned on to your videos over Christmas weekend, and I'm thinking about getting an RV and traveling around, and I just want to know some rules of the road and some helpful hints in my endeavor. Anyway, take care of yourself. Safe travels.
Thank you, Terry, for that message. And we have a message here on the chat from Christopher Olson. Have you visited Rio Grande National Forest? No, I haven't yet. Actually, I don't even think it's on my radar, but I'm definitely going to look it up, because if I'm going to be in the area, probably not this year on the way back, but maybe next year, early in the year, we're going to go back to the West. 2023, that's part of the winter. And we're really thinking about planning something to go to Europe at some point in 2023, maybe in spring. I don't know. The other night I was watching someone's video from Europe, and I came up with this crazy idea about getting an RV in Europe and finding like cheap storage, and go maybe with friends or whatnot, and go every year. Go every year for a couple of weeks or a month to Europe and do a part of Europe. And not having to rent an RV that could be defective, and whatnot. Our own RV. I don't know. I don't know. It's a costly endeavor, but I've been thinking about it.
Hi, Robert. It's Dylan here from the Rare Colorado area in Pickering. And I have a question today. My first question is there work to be a mini lounge on Saturday, January 8th? Are you going to sing Hingbada by Celia Cruz? And my second question is, what are you, in terms of the Omicron variant, are you are you planning to reconsider the trip idea to the south, doing the southeast this winter? And my final question is, what is your plan for? If you do go to Alaska in 2023, are you gonna buy a new trailer, or are you actually gonna take Mini 1 with you? Yes, and today is Saturday, January 1st, 2022. Happy New Year, everybody. And by the time you're hearing this, it'll be Friday, January 7th, 2022. I just want to wish Robert, I don't know if this question will be asked on Friday, because I might appear on the podcast again. So that's all, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for your message, and of course, Dylan is also on the live stream, so he might pop up here at the end of the podcast as well. About Omicron, let me tell you, I'm mostly worried about maybe the Tampa show is going to be crowded there and a lot of people, but I'm the hope is, I mean, these things usually these spikes or surges or whatever they want to call them usually last just a few weeks or months. I'm confident by spring we're gonna be in a much better position, but we'll see. And what was up? Mini Tini Lounge. Yeah, there's a very good chance. I'm not gonna promise 100% yet, but there's a very good chance we're gonna do a Mini Tini Lounge this Saturday, the January 8th. Which, by the way, is my mom's birthday, but she's gonna be like 87 or 87 years old, and she just came back from Dubai. Crazy, but she had a great time. But it was a taxing trip on her for sure. But very likely we're gonna, because this is the thing. I was gonna depart for Pelicamp on Sunday, and if it is the the military lounge is kind of taxing on my body. Usually the next day I'm usually a little tired sometimes, so I didn't want to travel 425 miles on the day right after the military lounge, and we have to pack a lot of stuff. So since we are leaving 2 days later now, I'm most likely I'll give you a 90% we're gonna have a military lounge.
Hi, Robert. This is Richard in Las Vegas. I used to live in Miami Beach, born and raised. I stumbled across your YouTube videos, and I just can't get those songs out of my head. Terrific. I go to Quartzsite every year. I love the West, but I was born in Miami Beach. Take care. Stay healthy. Keep up the good work. Good night.
Thank you, Richard, and from Miami Beach. And I do love the weather. That's probably something people like, from Florida, which is humid and flat. We kind of like it, mountainous and dry. I guess you tend to appreciate what you don't have, but yes, definitely, I love the West, and that's why I'm going. Mike Wilson, your mom and Elvis have the same birthday. Yes, and I do believe they were born the same year also as well. So what a coincidence. That's Mike Wilson in the chat here. And yeah, that's why she was such an Elvis fan, or is an Elvis fan. But was when Elvis was alive and is still. So yeah, well, how many? We have only 13 of you watching here in the chat. This YouTube channel, of course, it's uh it's still getting started here, but in any case, I'm gonna start wrapping this up. If anybody else wants to chat, I'm gonna drop that link one more time. But meanwhile, here we have live with us and Dylan. Keep it travel related and keep it short. But we have Dylan here live with us on the live stream.
Hey, Robert.
Hey Dylan, how are you, man?
Doing good. Well, in terms of travel, I have been recommending some provincial parks in Ontario. Hindley Provincial Park, which is not too far from Grande, and some national parks in Canada would be Banff and Jasper.
No, yeah, definitely Banff and Jasper. I wanted to go to those on my way to Alaska, but Alaska is being delayed indefinitely, at least until probably next year. So, but I definitely, I hear the North Shore of Lake Superior. It's also beautiful. All that the northern part of the Great Lakes. So, whenever it's possible and safe, Dylan, I'm definitely gonna be visiting you up in Canada as well. So you can count on that.
Yes. And I would actually recommend that maybe doing more of the Greater Toronto area, more Eastern Ontario like last time.
Mhm. I definitely want to do Toronto again. I want to do the 1,000 islands on the St. Lawrence River. I did a cruise last time I was there, but I want to do the cruise that it takes you to the Bald Castle and all the nicer islands. So anyway, Dylan,
Well, well,
thank you for coming on the
well,
show.
one more thing is that there's also the Canadian National Exhibition in 2022 or 23 is in August and in September.
Mhm.
Oh, actually, want you to come during that time period.
That'll be cool. Yeah, it's nice and warm. Yeah, definitely. I'll be back on the East Coast by then, so we'll definitely do that. All right, Dylan, thank you. I'm gonna start wrapping it up here on the podcast. Thank you all for coming into the live stream, and actually, I'm gonna leave. No, not here on the live stream. I cannot make it sound good with the setup that I have right now. It's gonna be on the actual podcast that you guys are gonna listen to on Friday morning, which is where this will live on. And this is a new tune. I just composed a new tune for Vermont and New Hampshire. It's gonna be called. I mean, that's the name that I came up with. It's gonna be called Autumn in New England. And if you're listening to the podcast version, you're gonna start listening to it right now. In any case, until next week, thank you so much for listening. And see you on the road because we are living the RV dream and loving the RV lifestyle because I'm free in my RV. Okay, let me hit stop here real quick. And let me save because I haven't saved this. And if I lose this file right now, I'm gonna be a very upset podcaster. Hold on. Where's my podcast folder here? Living the RV Dream 0222. Save. Hey, Lucky Dog Productions moderator finally made it, and we just finished. I believe there was a troll there earlier. I don't know what happened, but yeah. Thank you all for coming, and hopefully in the future we'll get more folks to show up and discover this channel and hang out. But it's a nice, tight, small group of us for now, and I enjoy it a lot. Next week is probably gonna be just podcast, unless the internet improves drastically in Pelicamp, and I don't know exactly when I'm gonna record it either. I'm gonna be up in Pelicamp doing things, being a lumberjack for the most part. So yeah. All right, buddy. I'll see you guys. Well, I'll see you tomorrow in the regular live stream in the main channel, and then I'll see you on Saturday on the Robert Morales channel for the Minitini Lounge. You're fired, so don't say that. Thank you. All right, everybody. Have a great evening or morning, wherever you are in the world. And where's the end broadcast button? Here we go. Bye.